Hi, folks. This is Angela Lambru, creator of the Kit Bull Story. I want to personally welcome and thank you for joining us today. This is your podcast where animals have a voice. Follow Kit Bull as she shares some fun and meaningful stories with a message for everyone. Now sit back and enjoy the episode.
Everyone, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. Now, I want you to gather the children around the podcast because for a family podcast solution, I have an amazing suggestion. My guest today has got one of the most creative podcasts that I've ever heard. If you think podcasting is two people talking to each other and that's all you know about podcasting, we're going to blow that out of the water today. One of the most creative and unique podcasts I've heard ever. I have to say ever. And my guest is on, and we're going to enjoy this. And you have to listen to this podcast. You have no choice. I will come to your house and push play on your phone. You have to hear this podcast. Angela is here with us today. Angela, welcome to the How to Podcast series. I am so pleased to have you here. Welcome.
I am more than excited to be here. I am so happy to share the information to everybody. Yeah. My podcast, The Kit Bull Story, is something that grew out of many passions. And you know, it's a storytelling podcast, and it tells a story from the animal's point of view and from the people's point of view. So, and Kit Bull is the heroine of the story. She's a pit bull that went through some hard times, but she persevered and came out of it, and then just started giving back to the animal kingdom. So the Kit Bull Story is, again, a podcast that started out of passion, and it's something that when I started doing the podcast, honestly, I had never heard of podcasting before. I just threw myself into it. In the beginning, I was looking, because it comes from a short story that I wrote about a pit bull, but the short story was really graphic. And so the more I thought about it, I said, well, okay, I want to make a short film. And then when I started researching short films, oh my God, it is so expensive to do an animated short film. I'm just talking about 5 minutes, really expensive. Really? Yeah. So I was like, I want to do this. It was like bubbling up inside of me. How am I going to do this? And I kept looking and looking and looking. And I don't know how I stumbled on podcasts. I guess I saw it a couple of times on Facebook. And then I said, okay, well, let me check this out. And I started researching, and I said, whoa, I can do this. I can do this because podcasting is a medium that I think levels the playing field. A lot of people, anybody can do it, basically. You know what I mean? All you need to get is the right gear, the right project, and then just go for it. You know, it's a wonderful way to express yourself. So I was really excited, but I still didn't know anything. And so again, I was on Facebook. Thank God for Facebook in some ways, you know what I mean? I was on a podcasting site, and I started asking questions, and I found this one person all the way in Spain who answered my questions. I mean, he took the time to Zoom with me. And I had all these questions because I wanted to do this to tell it as a story. And I had a lot of characters, and I'm thinking, well, how am I going to, what if I need to get actors? I mean, maybe I can't get them all from New York, you know, and what if I get them from other parts of the United States? And is it going to be cohesive? Is it going to sound, technically speaking? I mean, I didn't know anything about podcasting, from that respect. So he answered all the questions for me. He said, yeah, no problem. He says, they can send their files and I'll put it all together and it'll come out really nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
I was
amazing.
like, wow, this is more than exciting. This is like a dream come true.
I love the variety of voices that you have.
Yeah.
Like some very talented people who have lended their voices to your project. And then as well, I got to say, the music just draws you in. Like it's so immersive. As soon as you hit play, you're not going anywhere. Like it is such a great podcast to listen to. I really enjoy it.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, the Kitbull story. Oh, while I was researching podcasting, one of the people from the Facebook podcast that I was on, he tells me, "Oh, is your story the short film from Pixar? There's actually a short film from Pixar called Kitbull."
Oh,
And
really?
I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to straighten that out. So I got in touch I actually wrote them an email. And the lawyer got back to me, a lawyer from Pixar got back to me. And, it was like, cool, as long as, I changed the name a little bit, because I wanted to just name it Kitbull, but I had to change it because that's the name of the film. So anyway, it became the Kitbull story. So I was able to move on with doing the rest of what I wanted to do with it. So the next step, of course, was the casting, and that was tremendous work. I mean, I had to, of course, I put an ad in the casting, internet websites, and I was able to find a lot of people. I mean, I had a deluge of actors, voice actors, and even non-voice actors that wanted to play the part. I had very specific, each character, very, very specific, what I wanted. I had in my head exactly what I wanted that character to sound like. Yeah. And so it took a couple of months to get all that sorted out, to listen to all the people that were submitting, their takes on the characters. And so after that, it was getting so exciting to know that this thing was finally coming together. But let me just go back a little bit, because I said that the original story was, very graphic. So when I started rewriting it for the podcast, I softened it up big time, and I made it palatable for children. I made it, yeah, because I actually, the Kitbull story is a podcast. It's a storytelling podcast for anyone, but especially for children. And I say big children too, because honestly, adults can learn a lot about how to treat animals, because that's the premise of the podcast, how to treat animals. And they themselves in the podcast will tell you how they want to be treated or how they've been treated. And hopefully it will awaken something in people, and they will say, oh, gosh, yeah, I do that too. Maybe I should change it. You know what I mean? There's one character who is totally abandoned by his mother. And her name is Miss Busy. Miss Busy. I mean, she's always running around doing things, and totally forgets about the poor dog. Leaves a bowl of dry kibble, and then the poor dog gets sick. There was one of the episodes where he gets very sick. So I mean, these stories come from, believe it or not, my experiences working with animal organizations, and also I was a cat sitter for many years, so I know. Nice. And people, my friends call me a cat whisperer. because I'm able to get my cats to do certain things, but in a kind way. There's no mistreatment of the animal. So I have all these experiences, and then believe it or not, you can just walk down the street and you can find I mean, I get stories just walking down my block in my neighborhood, the way people just pull their dogs and tug at them because they have to get home and they have to get to work or they have to go to a party or whatever. And they totally forget that that dog is going to be going back to the apartment. It's going to be in a very sterile environment, not natural. They didn't even get to smell the roses because they're pulling them all the time. They don't allow them to smell nature. And that's so important for animals to get out and smell the roses, as I say.
Right. Yeah. Talk a little bit about your background. You've been doing voice acting, and do we hear your voice anywhere outside of the podcast that we would kind of go, wait a minute, I think that voice sounds familiar? What kind of work have you done in the past as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've done voiceovers over the years. I've been getting back into it. I took a break from it, but I've done voiceovers in English and in Spanish. I did one for and now these are from a while back, for McDonald's and Crystal Light, Burlington Coat Factory. Again, these are from a long time ago. My most current stuff is I did a story for another podcast. What's it called? I forget it. It'll come to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and then I recently did another voice. Actually, it was a caricature of a cat for a company in England, and so yeah. So those are the things that I've been doing mainly right now.
It's amazing. So, okay, talk about some of the people that are with you on the podcast. Any of those voices that we hear that you can kind of highlight for us?
Yeah.
Because there's such a variety of people there.
Yeah.
Can you tell us some of the stories behind some of the actors that are with you on this project?
Yes, absolutely. I think I picked a really good group of people. Honestly, I've had everybody that listens to it. They just love all the characterizations that these voice actors put, to each one of the characters that I have. And they are from different parts of the United States. I've got one young lady. She's out in California. I've got some people here in the East Coast. Let's see, do I have anybody from New York? I think I have just one person from New York, believe it or not. From New York City, and one from upstate. Everybody else is scattered all over the states. I have another one in Colorado. No, I have actually two in New York City and one upstate. So it's really a variety of wonderful voice actors. One of the characters that is beloved on the Kitbull story is Scat the cat. And this guy, he is wonderful. He's got this really gravelly voice. And I mean, when I auditioned him, I said, okay, he's got to be my cat, because Scat is a street cat, a wise New York street cat. So he's perfect. Yeah. And so his voice is very gravelly, and he really lends to it, and he gets into the character. He also plays Chiquito, which is this little yappy Chihuahua. And so he's he plays that character also well. And believe it or not, he does a Hispanic accent. I don't know where it comes from. He's not Hispanic, but he does. Yeah, he's great. And then I love Miss Busy. She's very New York. She's originally from New York, but she lives out in Colorado. She definitely has that, I don't care type of voice from New York,
I love it.
And I play 3 characters. I get to play Kit Bull. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. And, her voice is very sweet, and she's always like very inquisitive and very kind and always offering to help everybody. And she wants to know so much. I also play one of I have a group of dogs that come to the doggy daycare called Wild in the City. And they are called the West Side Bunch, because they come together and they have like this therapy session with Kit Bull all the time, and they have all these gripes about the way they're treated. So one of the characters that I play, another character that I play besides Kit Bull, is Mrs. Stern. And Mrs. Stern, of course, her name says it all. She is, she lives on the Upper West Side, and that's where these rich dogs come from, the West Side Bunch. There's about 6 of them. And she has her dog as a show dog. And her dog does not want to be a show dog. She wants to just be a normal dog. And so she's always complaining about that she's always on a strict diet, that she has to be constantly groomed. She doesn't want to be groomed at all. She doesn't want to go through do all these tricks for people, to walk straight, have her nose up in the air and all this stuff. And Mrs. Stern she's very strict. And she speaks like this, she has this upper class type of a voice, and she said, oh dear, I'm so upset about her, so that's how he speaks. And then my third character is Chanel's mother. Her name is Fran, and Chanel is a poodle, and that was Kit Bull's first case. I'm going to call it case, because she came in and she was like crying. And again, she had issues with her mom, that she wanted her to be this beautiful poodle. She was always taking her to the beauty salon. She wore bling. She had her nails painted. Sometimes she had her fur painted, tinted or whatever. And and when Kit Bull comes and sees her for the first time, she's like, oh my God, what's going on? Why are you crying? And she's like, oh, well, my mother this and my mother that. So Fran is, she's this French woman, and she talks like this with the French accent, and ooh la la, everything is, and we love Kit, and we love this, and we love that. So that's my third voice. And actually, I had a lot of fun creating those characters. One of the things I always say to people, if they want to do some kind of voice characterization, is to make sure that you can sustain it for a long time, so you don't hurt your vocal cords. Yeah. So I played around with different voices that I could do, and then if it starts to put a strain on your throat, forget about it. Don't do it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No. So, okay, apart from writing the script for the podcast, how long does it take to record a single episode, with collecting everyone's recordings and kind of the process? Can you give us an idea, like some behind the scenes about how you pull this together? Because they're so well done. There's got to be a lot of work behind the scenes.
It is. So I try to work on like a monthly schedule, and what I ask, I'm constantly communicating with my cast, and I will write the script, and that, believe me, that takes a long time, because I write and I rewrite and I clean it up, and then there's still some stuff that has to be done, like even when I submit it to the editor. I mean, we might find a mistake here and there, but once I have the script ready, I will email it to all the cast, And then I asked them to give it to me within a specific time frame, so that everything has to be delivered back to me. And then I deliver the entire files, all the files, to the editor. And then he starts to do his magic, which I'm sure you know all about. I mean, of course, as a voice actor myself, you have to know some processing stuff. You have to know how to, use your DAW so that, you deliver something good. But we deliver raw files to the editor. So then he puts it together. Now, the first season of the Kitbull story, because I was, on a budget. I mean, of course, I'm always on a budget, but I was trying it out, and I wanted to see, what I can do with what was offered to me in terms of like a price. We didn't have music, we didn't put any music to it. But the second season and the third season, we upped it each time with music, and then we added, little extra stuff in the third season. But and then selecting the music is something else. That also took some time because, oh my God, that was not easy.
No,
I wanted to match up the music with the script, with what was happening. So I also learned some terminology from my editor. I learned bumpers. I didn't know what a bumper was.
There you go.
I learned all this terminology. And I have a background as a dancer. So my ear is very well in tune to music, because as a dancer, you have to interpret music and you have to really listen well. So that really helped me a lot to select the music to, what was happening in the script. And then, of course, I had to get a variety of different emotions, something sad, something surprising, something, whatever, the whole gamut of emotions. We had to find music to match. And and so again, all that is submitted to the editor, and then of course there's always some technical issue back and forth. Some of the voice actors, I gave a chance to a couple of people who had very little experience, and because I know how it feels, like you have this desire to do something and then you're not getting a chance. And in this business, there's a lot of rejection. So there was a couple of people that I thought that had some quality that I liked for my story, the Kitbull story. But they didn't have the right equipment.
Okay.
So, so there was a lot of back and forth, with that, and then in the end, they realized that they had to buy better equipment if they were going to do this, because remember, we have like 12 voice actors. Okay. So 12 different files, and they all have to be uniform. They all have to sound exactly the same. And so if you have one that has, I don't know, issues with volume or whatever, it's just, it doesn't work. So, so I had to, manage that, and it's not easy. And I also had to, with a lot of the actors, I had to have a rehearsal. In the beginning, of course, we had a full rehearsal for the whole, the first episode, and to meet everybody. And then after that, there was some voice actors that, honestly, they were just perfect. I didn't have to do too much with them. But others I had to work with, and to be able to do a character. And believe me, I learned a lot myself. I learned so much doing this. I really am so grateful to my podcast, the Kitbull story, because I grew as a voice actor with that. It helped me to deliver the character in a way where you could hear all the expressions of this character. You could hear the nuance, the little details, the surprise, the frustration, the anger, all that stuff had to come across, because this is what we are. We're voice actors, And so with a couple of the voice actors on there, I had to work, a little bit more than with others to bring that across.
And then being an audio format, you have to create that theater of the mind. You have to bring your audience in so they kind of understand what's happening, because you can't see what's happening, to your point that it was going to be potentially a movie version originally, but now it's audio only. Any unique challenges to create a world with audio?
Well, and believe me, all that started in the script. Because when I was writing it, like I said, I needed to soften it up and to make it the challenge for me was to give a message to the public, because this is also an educational podcast. All right. The Kidbull Story is a humorous and educational podcast. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, but I also had to deliver a meaningful message. Right. This was important to me, because I wanted to do, when I thought of the idea of doing this, and then podcast came along, I said, I want to be able to reach people en masse. I want to be able to reach a lot of people, because, the work that I've done with animals has been one-on-one. Okay. You can help an animal. You can feed a stray cat. You can walk a dog that's, in a kennel for a long time. But here I wanted to reach a lot of people and let them know, hey, this is the way most people treat. This is the way animals would like to be treated. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, I'm basing that on my experience, and not only mine, but I also do a lot of research on the internet just to make sure that what I'm saying is correct. I don't just, I have the story that I want to tell, but I do like a research on each specific dog, like their personality for real, like what is a Chihuahua like? There are many types of Chihuahua, and what about a Beagle, and what about this one and that one? Yeah. So I do a lot of research. There was an episode that I did with one of the main dogs, who's a police dog, a canine. Nice. That was a lot of fun. I have to tell you another story after this. But, I had to do research on how it is when they go on these raids, because I've never been on a raid. So I had to make sure that what I was saying was true, factual, Yeah. But the canine Maximilian in the Kidbull Story, he comes to Wild in the City doggy daycare, and his dad is actually a policeman, and he meets with Rose. Rose is the proprietor of the doggy daycare, and he's really a mean guy. Now, this is based on a true story that happened, okay, but it's taken from one day. I was on 42nd Street in the subway, and there was a lot of cops with dogs, supervising the area. And there was this one dog, it was a German Shepherd, and the poor dog's ears were back and its tail was tucked in, and the dog was pacing. Oh my God. I started to hyperventilate, because I could tell that the dog was going through anxiety. And the cop was totally oblivious to it. So I swallowed, and I went up to the cop and I said, your dog needs to relax. He's going through anxiety, a lot of anxiety right now. And the cop looked at me like he wanted to kill me. He looked at me and and he just said, don't worry about it. He's okay. And I swallowed again, and I said, no, he's not okay. I said, look at his ears, look at his tail, he's hyper vigilant. He's looking all over. He needs a break. And then with that, I just walked off because I could see the look on the cop's face. I mean, I didn't want him to arrest me for that. So I turn around and I see the cop going to an isolated area under the subway on 42nd Street.
Yeah.
And I could see that, you know, the area was like dark and the dog was like just sat down for a while. So I was really happy that I was able to reach out to this man and point it out to him that what he was doing to his poor dog was just horrible. You know, yeah. I mean, and the thing is, like, and you see a lot of that, people walking down the street, they're really totally oblivious to the animal. They have it, but they don't pay attention. I mean, what's the point of having an animal if you don't care for it, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and so that story went into the Kit Bull story.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, Angela, like, this is, again, probably one of the most creative podcasts I've ever heard. I'm a huge fan. And for you to have time to talk us through the little bit behind the scenes, I'm wondering before we go, would it be possible for Kit to join us for just a moment? Would Kit stop by? And I would just like for the kids that are listening with their parents maybe to this, to have Kit talk to them directly a little bit before we say goodbye, just about how we can treat our pets better at home, how we can be a better to our pets as kids, as families. What can we do to give our pets a great time with us, because they're so giving and they're so loving, you know, to have them in our homes? What can we do? Kit, you're here with us. It's great to have you here, Kit. Welcome to the podcast. Could you tell us what we can do with our pets to be a better family member with our pets?
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah, I just want everybody to be kind to animals. You know, we love our humans, but sometimes our humans just don't understand us. They have to really pay attention. Like Rose always says, Rose, she's the best human. She's kind to me. She saved me. And now I'm able to help other animals. But I want everybody to know that, you know, it's not hard. Just pay attention to us, and please don't put any chokers on us when you're walking us. I mean, it's better to use a halter instead of a choker. And please let us smell the ground. Don't pull us all the time, because, you know, our nose, we can smell 1,000 times more than humans. So let us be dogs sometimes. Let us run loose. Let us have fun, because, you know, if we have fun, we're going to come back to the house and we're going to put you at ease.
Kit, thank you so much for dropping by the podcast. It's great. Angela, thank you for letting Kit join us. I appreciate that. And where do we find more about the podcast? Angela, where do we go to share this with everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that Kit was able to come here. She's a sweetheart. I'm telling you, she is always there 100% of the time. Well, they can go to the website, the Kit Bull Story, and we can be found in all the places where you find podcasts, you know, podcasts, wherever it is.
Amazing.
You know, we're on Instagram, and we are also on Facebook.
Amazing. Everyone, go and share this with your family and friends. This is a podcast you're going to fall in love with. I guarantee it 110%. You will love this podcast. One of the most unique podcasts I've ever heard, and a unique guest. And Angela, your talents are many, and I really appreciate you making time to be a part of our podcast. Thank you for doing this. It's great.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for bringing me on to tell this story. I'm really happy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Excellent. All the information in the show notes, everyone. Please go and support an amazing podcaster and an amazing podcast. You're going to fall in love with it. enjoy something really, really fun with your family. Angela, thank you so much.
Join Kit and her friends on the next podcast, and thanks so much for tuning in.